Vault Veritas SCP Files. Episode 30 Tasseography. Everyone's running around like crazy, preparing and plotting and being useful. I wonder if I should do something too. I don't know how to help, but there must be a way I can... I don't know. It feels so strange to just sit here, calmly recording, knowing that we'll be attacked soon. Niall didn't ask for any help, but I also didn't exactly offer any. Maybe that's what he wanted, and why he shared his plan with me? Maybe he expected me to offer. Or maybe he just wanted an audience. I don't know. It's so hard to tell with him. Well, I suppose all I can really do is keep recording, so... Incident Report 8040-1. First known incident involving SCP-8040, colloquially known as the Diviner's Mug. Object Class: Safe. Risk assessment level: low. Reported by lead researcher Dr. Priscilla Benson. Report made January 21st, 2019. I'll write, but I won't write what you want me to write. I'm going to write what I want to write because I'm not crazy, and my writing isn't crazy. I'm the only one who can write the truth. The truth is that we are all in control of our own fates, and that's why you've put me in here. That truth scares you. Admit it. Admit that you have control. We're not all pawns blindly following orders because the future cannot be predicted. The mug was wrong. There is no such thing as fate. Open your eyes. You won't believe me. I know that. Nobody ever believes me. Well, I'll show you. I'll tell you my tale, and then you'll have to believe me. Because if you hear what I've seen, what I've discovered about that mug, and you still don't believe me, then I really don't know if I can help you at all. But I'll try my best. I don't think you're beyond saving just yet. I hope not, at least. I started working at the Foundation so long ago that time seems to have lost all meaning. I had gotten so used to the abnormality, so used to the chaos and the destruction and the constant, ever-churning, all-consuming reality that is life here. I thought it was only a matter of time before I became its next victim, destined to be part of a long line of names read out at the next major site funeral. where people mumble, "Poor dears," and "Tut tut, they were so young," and then go about their days as though such a fate would never happen to them. I was so worried about that fate, and they kept assigning me to all these cases where death seemed to lurk just around the corner. This horrible eldritch monstrosity, and then this ethereal leviathan, and then this brain-twisting thingamajig. Every second was a mad scramble to hold on to my life, my sanity. Sometimes I would start to make friends, other researchers and professionals, only to lose them in an incident or a breach just weeks or months later. I practically had to beg for a quieter assignment at the end of it all, desperate for even a second where I wasn't terrified for my life and watching the clock incessantly, wondering each moment if it would be my last. Who would have predicted they would actually listen and hand me a mug of all things? SCP-8040, the augury mug of lies and deception. I should have shattered that damned lying piece of ceramic the moment I laid eyes on it. But instead, I thought it was fascinating. It wasn't scary or intimidating or trying to slowly melt my brain inside of my skull. It just sort of sat there in my hands, calm and quiet. And that anomalous property it had. A mug that can tell you the future? I was so enthralled that I barely even questioned it. It fooled me instantly. That first day, I filled it with just a sip of tap water, and sat with it in the break room, leaning over it and cupping my hands around it like it was a pure and divine crystal ball. I remember I whispered to it, so gently, so tenderly, "Will I have a good day?" A sticker on 8040's side gave me instructions for its use, and I dutifully followed them like a good little sheep. I took a teaspoon out of a nearby drawer and ladled a small spoonful of water onto the tabletop. The water hesitated for just a moment before twisting itself into a circle, and then, and I'm not lying, I'm not, it twisted further into a tiny, smiling face. And wouldn't you know it, it had guessed correctly. Luck. Pure luck. I'm sure now it was nothing but happenstance. But man, it was an amazing day. My supervisor told me I was free from working with Keters and Euclids for an extended period of rest. Said something about how the stress I'd been enduring would get to anyone, and they hoped a lighter assignment would ease my addled mind. I got to spend the whole day sipping water and coffee from 8040 and reading up on a series of tame and relaxed tests that had previously been conducted on it. The best day I think I've ever had in the Foundation, to be honest. Nothing tried to kill me. Nothing whispered in the far reaches of my mind. There was no blood, or deaths, or screams, or violence. I even brewed hot chocolate in 8040, and I like to think it enjoyed the warmth of the microwave in the cool afternoon. The next day, I decided to test it a little more extensively. After all, I was getting to know it rather well. It accompanied me everywhere. I spent the whole day asking it these little, simple questions. Will it rain today? 2 circles. The instructions told me that meant no. And sure enough, it remained bright and sunny. Then, will the cafeteria food be appealing today? Also no. Though, to be fair, anyone could have predicted that answer. I'm not sure how it did it. Guessed correctly every time. But it's wrong, I tell you. It's just a gimmick. But man, was the gimmick intoxicating. It was a few days of that. Just innocent and fun little questions, before I started to realize what I thought was the true potential of the mug. I was relaxing in the break room, listening to the others idly chatter about their personal lives, when it hit me. I didn't have to just wonder if I'd ever find a partner, or if I'd ever get another promotion. As far as I knew then, I had the gift of foresight sitting right there in my hands. The answers were disappointing. Not that it matters now that I know the mug was only lying. It doesn't matter what that stupid mug said about my love life and my career. I will find love, and I will advance, damn it. But I believed it then, and it hurt to know. But it was also nice to hear the truth, yeah? Then the news came. A massive containment breach involving the keter I had just been working with. All the researchers, people I knew, people I'd just been speaking with weeks prior, gone. Just gone. And I sat there with my mug. And I thought about how it could have so easily been me. And I asked it. I asked it how I would die. I knew the shapes alone wouldn't suffice, but I'd also read up on the studies where they'd placed the liquid onto a phone screen, and the liquid had somehow manipulated the electronics to type out short answers to posed questions. I tried it, pouring a small teaspoon of cooling tea onto my phone, and there, upon the screen, appeared the words, "Fire will consume you." Of course I freaked out. You would have too. For the past week, this mug had perfectly predicted my every move and correctly answered every question. I know now that it was all a lie, but at the time I was so brainwashed by its alluring promises that I was certain my doom was lurking just around the corner. It was warning me. I thought that it must be trying to save me with this warning. I'd been so kind to it, taking it everywhere with me, cradling it and cooing soft questions to it, admiring it endlessly, hour after hour. I tried to ask it more questions, to narrow down what it had meant, but the answers were so maddeningly vague. What's the source of the fire? A spark. Where will the fire be? Nearby. See? Technically true, but completely unhelpful. I could have shattered the damned ceramic right then and there. I was gripping it so hard I'm amazed it didn't crack. But I knew I couldn't get rid of it. I needed it. I needed it to warn me, and to help me avoid the death that had so terrified me every waking moment of every day. I kept asking it that same question over and over and over. How will I die? The answer never changed. Every time, those same words appeared. Fire will consume you. I took the warning to heart. I avoided anything that might be hot. I stopped going to the canteen and the break rooms. I refused to cook anything. The labs, with their Bunsen burners, were off limits. When I realized the flammability of gasoline, I decided that staying in an on-site bunk was safer than ever risking the short drive home. Every day, I consulted the mug, hoping that if I reduced my exposure to potential fire hazards, the fiery fate might change. But it never did. Fire will consume you. In the end, it was my coworkers who intervened, calling me off and paranoid, as though trying to avoid a painful death was somehow wrong. They pushed me in front of my supervisor, insisting that I explain everything. But the more I spoke, the more I saw their doubtful looks and heard their questions. If I was all right, if I'd been feeling okay, if I was seeing things that aren't there, as though I were crazy. They told me to take a break from work, as if there weren't plenty more fire sources in the real world that could kill me. You all said it was safer out there. Do you have any idea how much more likely a fire is in your own house than it is here? You were just trying to get rid of me. You wanted me gone, because I was starting to figure it all out. I was starting to figure out that fate is a lie. How could it be true? I'd dodged death for years, working with some of the worst keeters out there. And a little old fire was supposed to kill me? It was silly. It made no sense. It hit me then just how much the Foundation runs on fate. You all pile us in here and tell us that it is our fate to guard these anomalies, or they will destroy the world. But you don't know that. You're just trying to control us. You have no idea what the future holds. None of us do. Especially not that damned mug. That's when I knew I had to take my fate into my own hands. I simply had to refuse to die by fire. I had to face the fire and survive it. That's why I set the lab on fire. It was a controlled burn anyways. Nothing important was damaged. I knew the safety protocols of the site. The lab would be locked down, and nothing outside it would be damaged. Isn't the destruction of one little lab worth it to save my life? Surely you must agree that I'm more important. I spilled the cartons of acetone, benzene, and ethanol that were stored away in the supply closet, all over the floors, the tables, everything. And I set it all ablaze. You all think I'm crazy for doing that, but don't you see? I was proving to the mug that it was wrong. Proving to you all that fate does not matter. I had an extinguisher right there, and multiple gigantic and thick tarps if that failed, thinking I'd simply smother it out. But I didn't need either of them, because the sprinkler system worked just as it was supposed to. I proved it. I proved it wrong. I faced the fire, and I survived. As I stood there, with the fire extinguisher in hand, ready to confront my fate, the sprinklers activated, dousing the flames and quenching the fire's rage. I walked out of that lab victorious. I wish you could have let me savor that victory. There is no fate. All those predictions, just happenstance, mere chance, because I am alive. I faced its predicted death and walked away unscathed. It terrifies you, doesn't it? Realizing that the future is truly unknown, that we can never fully comprehend the paths we take. But trust me, I've experienced the alternative. I've experienced life knowing what awaits me, and the mystery is far better. Except that there is no fate. That all of us, even you, are choosing our own paths. Admit it, and join me in beautiful, chaotic freedom. Dr. Benson was deemed a threat to the site for her reckless behavior and decision-making. She was given amnestics and released back into civilian life. For all the good it did her. With her memories erased, Dr. Benson resumed using all the devices she had ceased. Microwaves, ovens, cars, all of it. The database notes that a fire broke out in Dr. Benson's house just 2 weeks after her dismissal from their site. Interestingly, the investigation into the cause of this fire turned up nothing out of the ordinary. No faulty wiring, no aged appliances, nothing that drew any attention. Nothing that could explain why, on the morning of February 4th, 2019, Dr. Priscilla Benson's house caught a flame. The fire began in the living room, where no flammable materials were noted to have been, and quickly spread through the apartment at a speed the investigators could not account for. Charred human remains were found in the upstairs bedroom, and it was determined that the cause of death was not asphyxiation by smoke inhalation, but instead from trauma obtained by direct exposure to flame. Dr. Benson's name has been officially added to the Foundation's list of deceased faculty. SCP-8040 has been placed inside a locked storage unit, and no further use has been authorized since. That mug sure sounds like a useful item right about now. I would love to have something that tells me how all this is going to turn out. Even though it seems like it didn't really work out for her very well. I suppose, perhaps, it is better to simply walk the pathway of fate rather than trying to change it. Dr. Sterling and Officer Orson know the site well, and they know how to best defend it. And if they fail, Niall has his own tricks up his sleeve. Perhaps it's best if I sit this one out and let them all work their own plans rather than trying to interfere and attempt to control the unknown. After all, as Dr. Priscilla and 8040 have shown us, sometimes the best solutions are to simply leave questions unasked.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Tasseography is based on SCP-8040 by Dr. Talsite from the SCP Wiki located at scpwiki.com/SCP-8040. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 3.0 unported license. This episode featured Justin Gellner as Scott Anderson. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please rate and review us. Email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Tweet us at vaultveritas. Or for additional content, visit our Patreon. Thanks for listening.